How you doing, everyone? And welcome to this episode of the Isaac Hayes Show, where I talk about life, I talk about liberty, and I talk about the pursuit of happiness, and I show the audience that Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you're located. Just remember that this is the day the Lord has made. You should rejoice and be glad in it. Ladies and gentlemen, had a great weekend. I guess you could say a weekend update. The reason I didn't do a live show on Rumble this week, I was out of town. I was planning on coming to the studio very early Saturday morning. I was going to go ahead and pre-record an episode and ran into some hiccups. I did a 3-minute video on TikTok. I didn't explain why I was not doing a show that Saturday morning, but went to a church conference that was going on in Baton Rouge with my good friend Pastor Lee Shipp at First New Testament Church. They did their encouragement conference, and it was a great time. I had time to rest. Me and the wife went one day just by ourselves and spent the night in Baton Rouge and spent time with our other church family at Family Worship Center, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries out there. Got to see a couple of friends of mine, and just had a real good time. Had a real good time and a time of rest. So I did not do a weekend live stream, and trying to do some things different, trying to lean on the Holy Spirit to help me out. This takes a lot of my time, and I love doing it. I'm busy. But guess what? We're going to go ahead and continue doing it as long as we can. Next weekend, I will be at the MAGA Fest. It was the MAGA Fest Summit 2024 in Kinder, Louisiana. We'll be at the Clarington Hotel, 2829 William Boulevard, again in Kinder, Louisiana. New prices on tickets, ladies and gentlemen. I seen the other day on the website, I think tickets are going for $50 a piece. Come and hang out with us. We got over 40 speakers. I'm one of the speakers. I'm honored to be. My good friend William Wallace of America went ahead and put me in with his great lineup of speakers. I will be speaking Saturday night around 7:00. So I'm planning my speech. I know what the Lord has in store for me. I just got to put it together. And I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna have a good time at the MAGA Fest 24 Summit. If you want any more information on that, MAGAFest24.live, MAGAFest24.live, and go ahead and use the promo code Cajun, and you better help me out in that way. Also, want to go ahead and give them a shout out, Kelby and Joe, my good friends at the Kelby and Joe Show. They have an event that they're pushing, and it is the Bayou on the Bash. That is happening October 23rd at 7:00 at Pat's Chafalai Club. I will be there. I have video evidence of Kelby offering me to go. So I'm going to be there. Got some great speakers coming up. Jolie Quinn, the former senator of Louisiana. She's going to be out there. We're going to have Blake Miguez, Sheriff Beckett Bro, and many others. And you'll see yours truly there. I am not going to be speaking, but I'm going to be hanging out with everybody, and they're going to have a live band there and all that good stuff. Mark your calendars, October 23rd, 7:00 Central Standard Time. I have to make that point known because we have audience all over the world listening to this podcast right now. But at Pat's Chafalai Basin Club in Henderson, Louisiana. Come check it out. Also want to give a shout out to my good friends again, Kelby and Joe at the Kelby and Joe Show. Go ahead and check them out. Brand new podcast. They have done 4 episodes so far. I guess you could say I'm trying to be like their big brother. I'm trying to show them the ropes. I helped them out a little bit. Me and Kelby, we done election coverage for a while. A lot of people would say, well, Isaac, you and Kelby don't see eye to eye till I. We don't, but that's what makes our friendship so unique. And that should make America so unique. We have them differences, but we can still go ahead and have a conversation. That's the whole point of that. But again, got them events coming on. Hope you're doing well. Pray to the Lord is keeping you and guiding you. I hope you're not too heartbroken Saints fans out there. Lost on a last minute kick field goal by the Falcons. And look, I don't mind the Saints losing too much, but it's to the Dirty Birds. it's to the Dirty Birds, and the state of Georgia is happy as could be probably right now. The Saints lost again, and they lost to the Dirty Birds. Now, all my friends that are in Atlanta, I'm not trying to get under your skin. Please don't take that in the wrong way. Anyway, so let's get to topics, and I want to start off this episode with talking about abortion. And look, a lot of people don't know, me and my wife, we're about to make 11 years married, strong. A lot of people can't say that. You know, you'd be surprised if you find a marriage go 25 years, 30 years. And God has blessed me and my wife with tremendous blessings. We've gone through ups and downs, and we've gone all around. But God has blessed us. In the 11 years that we're about to celebrate, me and my wife, and we talked about this. It was funny how I'm talking about this now, and I was planning on talking about this, and maybe this is just confirmation, but at the conference that I attended last week at First New Testament Church in Baton Rouge, I had some friends, we met a couple there, and we explained our story about our miscarriages. And we've had, I want to say 4 in the 11 years that we've been married. Now we're not having no more children. We made the process to where we're not having no more children, but God has blessed us with 3 beautiful, healthy children. And you know, losing the children that we unfortunately had miscarriages really hurt me and my wife. And we had, you know, all these people, I hear, before we had our first miscarriage, we hear people having miscarriage, like, oh man, but when you go through it, it really hurts. Maybe this is why abortion is a touchy subject for me. Because me and my wife, we wanted children. And my wife had medical issues, and thank the Lord that he led the doctor's hand. And he went ahead and he guided the doctor into figuring out what was going on with the wife. And to the point I'm trying to make, we wanted children. And there's millions of people out there that want to have children. They just can't have children. So there's other options, foster care and adoption and IDF and all this stuff. But this is one of 2 reasons why I'm against abortion. Because when I see people running around and having sex willy-nilly, and they're living their life and whatnot, and they get pregnant, and they look at that as an inconvenience. Oh, this is going to hurt my career. Oh, this is going to hurt me and my boyfriend's relationship. Oh, and they make every excuse, and they go to an abortion clinic and have an abortion, all because it was an inconvenience. They didn't want to wear protection, or they didn't want to have protection. Now you having a baby, and all of a sudden now, oh, that's an inconvenience. I don't want to have a kid. Now there's millions of people, and I've aborted. I've went ahead and debated. Excuse me. I went ahead and debated abortionists, and these abortionists. Well, you know, if you have the child, you're gonna flood the system that's already hurting. You know, which is funny. It's easier to get an abortion than to get an adoption. That's sad. Think about it, okay? It is easier for a woman to go into a Planned Parenthood clinic or an abortion clinic or anywhere and say, listen, I want to have an abortion. Oh, sign a paper here. You go into the back. The abortion's done. When a parent or a future parent wants to adopt a child, it takes 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many years. And the process is so picky. Even came to a point, I heard this the other day, of someone saying, you know, you Christians, why don't y'all practice what y'all preach? Why don't y'all adopt children? Christians have. Christians have tried to adopt, and when they go to states like California and Washington, and I have a good brother in the Lord that preached last weekend from Washington, talked about all the ridiculousness that is going on in Washington. But these parents go in there and they ask them, well, what do you think about LGBTQ? Or what do you think about this? Or what you think about that? And they decline the parents from having that child that needs a home. But they want to tell Christians, oh, you're against abortion. Again, it's easier for a person to have an abortion and than to adopt a child. That's sad to me. So why am I bringing up abortion? Why am I pouring out my heart right now about me? You know, why because like I said, that's one of two reasons why I'm passionate about abortion, because the other reason is because it's against the word of God. Plain and simple. Again, why am I bringing up abortion? Well, I saw this story at the beginning of last week, and it's from Politico. All you left-leaning people that tell me you don't read no left-leaning paper. I'm quoting Politico. Politico came out with a story, and this is the headline. Harris backs ending filibuster for abortion rights legislation. Kamala Harris is calling for change to Senate procedures to pass federal legislation to protect abortion rights. Harris voiced support for ending the 60-vote threshold needed to advance most legislation in the Senate, commonly known as the filibuster, during an interview with Wisconsin's public radio that aired Tuesday. This is Harris's quote. I think we should eliminate the filibuster for Roe and get us to the point where 51 votes would be what we need to actually put back in law the protections for reproductive freedoms and for the ability for every person and every woman to make decisions about their own body and not have their own government, do not have their government tell them what to do. This is a direct quote from Harris herself. Harris, for months, has promised that she would sign legislation codifying Roe v. Wade protections in federal law, but has yet, as a presidential nominee, to specifically weigh in on whether she supports an exemption to the filibuster to do so. President Joe Biden has long said he supports such an exemption. In 2022, Harris promised as vice president to cast a tiebreaker vote to end the filibuster for reproductive rights and voting rights. So there's two issues here. They want to end it because of abortion and voters' rights. During her 2020 presidential campaign, Harris also came out in support of an exemption to the filibuster to pass a broad climate proposal called the Green New Deal. Ladies and gentlemen, she wants to end the filibuster, all in the name of abortion. Think about this. America has had this tradition for a long while. Back in the day, it used to be a 67 vote threshold. When our country first started, senators, if they wanted to pass something, it had to pass the 67 vote threshold. This is why we're not a true democracy, by the way, as well. We're a constitutional republic, which means we're a country of laws. This is why we follow them, and this is why we need so many votes to pass this law. But again, this started when our country first started. It was a 2/3 Senate vote. Now, we didn't have 67 seats at the time. It was 13 colonies and whatnot, but it had to be a 2/3 vote. It got changed to a 60 vote threshold in the Harry Reid term, or Harry Reid section, not section. I'm trying to say the right word. I know I'm probably going to watch this after a while and be like, oh man, I should have said that. Tender. Thank you. Tender. In the Harry Reid tender of him being the Senate leader, he pushed it down to 60 vote, and he also passed for 51 votes for most legislation, or not most, for money legislation and for court appointees. You only had to have 51 votes and not 60 votes. So just a few points right here. One, why is she pushing an issue that don't benefit no one and ends life? Look, I'm going to be totally honest with you, and I might have some debate on that where people would say, oh, yeah, it does benefit. It benefits the mother. Look, I understand if a woman is having issues in pregnancy. My wife, 2 out of the 3 pregnancies that we've had with our children, my wife had some issues. And even that, my wife's last pregnancy with my little girl, she had issues. But not once did we think, oh man, we might have to abort this child. Not once. Abortion does not benefit anybody. Now, there's more people that have PDST, I think it's called, after an abortion. This issue does not benefit everybody. I understand, I hear the sides where they say, well, what about the exemption of the mother's life? What about this? What about that? Okay, what about raping and incest and all this stuff? Okay, I understand. Okay, I can hear your argument, but at the same time, this does not benefit anybody. Abortion does not benefit anybody. It does not make them wealthier, except the doctors that are performing the surgeries. Maybe this is why they do them. I honestly think a lot of these people are demonically filled, and this is why they're doing this. And this ends life. She said it in the quote, and I'm going to read it again. And this is a question I would love to ask a liberal if they're man enough or woman enough to go ahead and answer this question. She made the comment. I'm going to read her thing. I think we should eliminate the filibuster for Roe and get us to the point where 51 votes would be what we need to actually put back in law the protections for reproductive freedoms and the ability for every person and everyone to make a decision about their own bodies and not have their government tell them what to do. She uses that phrase, reproductive rights. If you are having abortion, you are not practicing reproductive rights. In full honestly, you know what reproductive rights is? A man and a woman being intimate with one another and conceiving a child. That's reproductive rights. Not going and having an abortion at an abortion clinic. That isn't reproductive rights. That is the termination of life. And you see how they use that phrase, reproductive rights. Now, there's another, and I'm just thinking about this. This was not in my notes. Listen to her comment. And for the ability of every person and every woman to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do. It's funny how on this issue, they don't want the government to tell you what to do, but the government can tell you about every other aspect, every other area of life. The government can tell you what to do. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The government, she tells this newspaper in Wisconsin on the public radio, I don't want the government telling you what to do. But when a parent says, no, we don't believe in transgender surgeries and we believe Bob is Bob and not Susan, the government steps in and says you cannot interfere with that child. If that child wants puberty blockers or they want something, you have to give it to them. The government's telling them what to do with their child then, but the government can't tell them what to do with their bodies now? This is the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. We don't want the government telling a woman what to do with her own body. Not while abortion, but everything else we're going to tell her what to do with her body. It makes me sick. This ends life. This isn't reproductive rights, going back to my original point on this. Abortion does not benefit anybody. All it does is bring hurt and shame, and it ends life. Now, look, if you've had an abortion, you listen to this, I'm praying for you. I am. I think God can forgive you. I think, I just don't think, I know. But it's going, that's sticking to me. That's just sticking to me right now, too. We don't want the government telling women what to do with their bodies. On abortion, you don't want that. No. Well, what about a parent saying, hey, we don't want puberty blockers for our child because our child is 12 years old and we don't think this child knows better. And the government tells them, we tell you what to do with your children. Isn't that hypocrisy? Also on that point, I heard Brother Donnie Swagger talk about this on Sunday morning. He was talking about the puberty blockers and all this stuff. And I thought about this, and this is I think it's a good example or a good analogy to go with. I don't know if that's the right word, but the government says, hey, a 12-year-old child can make a decision they're a boy and girl and get them to chop up on their body. But when you ask the government, hey, Should a 12-year-old have a firearm? The government's quick to tell you, no, they're not mature enough to hold a firearm. Hey, my 12-year-old wants a beer. Oh, no, your child isn't mature enough to go ahead and make that decision on having an adult beverage. See, the government's quick to tell you, hey, your child is not mature enough to hold a firearm or to buy a firearm. Let's go into full. You have to be 18-year-old to buy a long rifle, and you have to be 21 to buy a handgun. I know this stuff. I sold firearms for a living. Your children are not mature enough to get a firearm or buy a firearm from a gun dealer, but they're mature enough to go ahead and tell the doctor, hey, I think I'm Susan, not Bob, and I want a surgery. And when the government, oh yes, we can tell the kids what to, parents, we can't stop it. The government has the right to tell you about the government has the right to stick their nose into that, but they don't have the right to stick their nose into a woman's rights. She says she's defending democracy, but wants to end something that helps us stay free. This is talking about the filibuster. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, you hear this all the time from, again, I use the word democracy purposely. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Harris says she's defending democracy. I want to defend democracy. I want to defend democracy. I want to defend democracy. Oh, I need to defend democracy. Oh, we got to stop it from the tyrannical Trump. Oh, Trump wants to take away your freedoms. Oh, Trump wants to do this. Oh, Trump wants to do that, and all this stuff. And she says she wants to defend democracy, but on the political side of this, she don't want to defend our traditions and our rules of the Senate. Again, this is a country made of rules, and we follow rules, and they call them laws. Kamala Harris cannot get her agenda passed no matter what. She's always going to fight that 60 vote threshold. But she wants to end the filibuster to push, listen here, to push her agenda without any opposition whatsoever. Especially if they would get Puerto Rico and Washington as a state. Those states are those two areas of our world are extremely liberal. And if they can get the filibuster passed, guess what? If they can take out the filibuster, there's no stopping the Democrat Party whatsoever. You know, we hear about voter integrity and we hear about voters. Look, if you're really worried about voter integrity, you need to not vote for Harris, because she wants to end the filibuster that would push legislation that goes against our Constitution that would benefit only her and her party, not nobody else. But she's defending democracy. Yeah, she is. Look, hold on. Look, I'm probably going to step on some toes. Yeah, she is defending democracy. Because we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. Because when she says, I want to defend democracy, guess what? She is defending democracy. Our founding fathers did not want democracy. They wanted a constitutional republic. And a democracy is majority rules. If majority thinks we should only drink black coffee in the morning, don't add sugar and cream, she only needs 51 votes. And guess what? Democracy rules. We don't have no more sugar and cream in our coffee. I know that's a poor analogy, and I'm sorry. I saw the coffee pot right there. She wants to defend democracy. Well, if you want to defend democracy and save our freedoms, you leave the filibuster. Our founding fathers did stuff that blows my mind when I start looking into, like the Electoral College. Very smart. It protects us, our voting rights and all that. You have dumbos like Harris and Waltz that keep on saying, oh, no, we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that. Especially now they want to get rid of it because there's a good shot, according to Nick Silva, that I think it's Nick Silva, I think his name is the pollster, that says she has a good chance of losing the Electoral College. He's convinced she's going to win the popular vote. But good thing the popular vote does not dictate who's our president of the United States. Also, there's another reason why, and I touched on it briefly. There's another reason why she wants to end the filibuster, because she wants to lead us to a socialistic country. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Democracy, when people talk about a true democracy, that usually leads to socialism and evidently to communism. She wants to end the filibuster because she wants the country to be a socialistic country. I don't care who's on the chat right now. I don't care who's commenting in the comment section with YouTube right now. She has socialistic ideas. She has already been quoted by, she wants to get rid of guns. Oh, no, she's not. She says she has a gun. She's for the Second Amendment. Baloney. She in 2019, I think it was, she wanted buybacks. She wants to end the filibuster because she can't get her way. She's also against fracking and all. This is all positions that she flip-flopped on, ladies and gentlemen. She wants to make this a socialistic country. And look, this all started with the abortion thing. I saw this and I'm like, I'm gonna make a appeal right now to Christians that are listening to me. If you tell me I can't vote for Donald Trump on moral grounds, I would like to talk with you. I would like to talk to you. Because you're telling me you can't vote for a man that has morals issues, but you're going to go ahead and vote for a woman that goes ahead and calls openly for the slaughter of children. Oh, the abortion is the slaughtering of children. Like I said, I might get some flack back from that. I don't know. But I'm just telling you right now. Us as Christians, we need to wake up. We're living in a time that is dangerous. We're living in a time that our country has never seen before. And we need to vote this lady out of office. She is pushing socialistic ideas. She's pushing socialistic agendas. And guess what? They always look, all you people that say, well, Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. Donald Trump isn't trying to rip up our Constitution apart. There's only one party that wants to fundamentally change this country. She has said it, and Barack Obama has said it. And this country needs something different. And guess what? It is not the politicians. It is Christ. That's what they need. All right, moving on. This week, Israel's been busy. Israel's been busy in the Middle East. Israel went ahead and attacked a lot of Hezbollah leaders. It got to a point where before what we're about to talk about happened, and this story I had to adjust because of the weekend. There was just so much news coming out of the Middle East. But later in the week, I think it was Friday, the United Nations had their General Assembly. It started Thursday and it went on to the weekend. And Benjamin Netanyahu was there, President Biden was there, and several other leaders were there. Iranian leaders were there, I believe. And they just, most of them were saying, hey, we need to have a ceasefire. We need to have a ceasefire. A lot in Paris, United States, and many others countries were asking for a temporary ceasefire of 21 days. Aimed the fear of widening the wars. This is from Fox News. They wanted a 21-day ceasefire. They wanted to have peace talks. And ladies and gentlemen, first off, America's name should not even be mentioned in a ceasefire. This shows how weak President Biden is. President Biden should be asking Israel, hey, what can we do to help you? Because if Israel takes out these terrorist leaders and these terrorist groups, guess what? It helps the United States. It helps our fight on terror, ladies and gentlemen. But our president won't do that. He's too weak. And all these other countries were asking for a ceasefire. Benjamin Netanyahu said, look, he came onto the General Assembly and said, I don't want war. I want peace. What leader does not want peace? But we have these other nations. Oh, it's all Israel's fault. It's always Israel's fault. Which brings me to my first point. At this General Assembly, a lot of leaders come up, especially Middle East leaders. It is Israel. Israel needs to stop shooting their rockets. Israel needs to stop doing this. Israel needs to stop doing that. Israel was not the first country to engage in warfare. We're coming up to October. October 7th will be year one, the first year anniversary of when Hamas went through border fences, attacked Jewish people and Americans that were attending these Jewish fests, killed hundreds of people, and took hostage a lot of people, where there's still hostages today in Hamas captivity. It was not Israel that decided one day, we're going to go attack the Gaza Strip. It was Hamas, a terrorist organization that vowed to go ahead and take out Israel. And when Israel retaliated and tried to go get their people out of the bonds of these terrorists, you had Hezbollah and people in Lebanon saying, Israel, don't go after your people. And you had the world saying that America was saying, and the world was saying, Israel has the right to defend themselves, but they don't have the right to go ahead and finish the war that Hamas started. Israel is not helping the humane part of the war. Oh, they're not taking care of the people in Palestine. It's not Israel's job. Israel had their people butchered by evil, corrupt demons. I'm going to say it like that. But it's Israel's fault. Oh, Israel was to blame for all this. Israel was not to blame for this. It's funny how these world leaders go and they say, oh, it's Israel. Oh, it's Israel. It's not Israel. We believe Israel has the right to defend themselves, but I think they should be peacemakers. No. And look, I don't understand American politicians, especially on the left. Israel has the right to defend themselves. We had the right to defend ourselves too on 9/11. But we decided, hey, that's an act of war. We're going to finish this. And unfortunately, it did not end well in Afghanistan, because Biden was trying to defend his record on Afghanistan at the General Assembly, and it was a success. No, Afghanistan was not a success. But we went into Afghanistan and we went into Iraq and we took care of business. Now, was it hinged on lies? You have to question the weapons of mass destruction and all this stuff by the Bush administration. You can go ahead and question that. I'm not against questioning that. But America had the right to defend themselves, and we did. And then we engaged in a war for over 20 years. My good friends at Culper's Canteen Cup fought in Afghanistan. We had men and women that lost their lives in Afghanistan. We had the right to defend ourselves, but we also had the right to engage in war. And America saying, oh, Israel has the right to defend themselves, but they shouldn't escalate this too much. Is talking out of both sides of our mouth. Also, who does a ceasefire help? It doesn't help Israel. You know what a ceasefire does? Because we saw this with Hamas. It gives Hamas or Hezbollah time to regain their arms and move their positions. See, while you're in constant battle with someone, you can't really move your armies. You really can't. You have to continually engaging. But if you go ahead and have a ceasefire, you have time to move around. Now, Israel does too. Israel has time to regain their arms, rest, and whatever. But the ceasefire does not help Israel. Israel can go. Okay, we've seen this with the beepers, all right? Hezbollah thought they were being smart. We're going to use beepers instead of cell phones. We're going to use this. We're going to use that. And guess what? Israel's intelligence, hey, they're using beepers. They're using beepers, and since they're using beepers, we can get in that. We can go ahead and jump in there and take them out. And guess what they did? They didn't just into the beeper, they did it to the walkie-talkies. Hezbollah wants a ceasefire. The terrorist groups wants a ceasefire because it benefits them. And guess what? The UN General Assembly, there's a lot of Arab nations that are part of that. and they want to help their brothers in arms. And talking about what I said earlier, Israel wouldn't be fighting this war if it wasn't for the terrorist groups and that want to take Israel out. We talked about this earlier. Now, and again, this is where the part of my notes take a turn, because I prepared this all on Friday night, thinking I was coming to the studio, and maybe there's a reason why I didn't come to the studio that morning, because a lot of news broke Saturday morning when I woke up. I wrote this down. Israel needs to finish the job. If they don't, it'll be worse than October 7th, and it will be. If Israel bends down to the world saying, stop the fighting, do this ceasefire, agree to this ceasefire, it's going to be worse than October 7th. Because these terrorist groups want to take out Israel. I heard this, I think, from Glenn Beck. They have offered ceasefires and peace talks. Israel has sent them ceasefires and peace talks, and Hamas has rejected them every single time. Because what Hamas's ceasefire is that we're going to keep the hostages, but we don't want to fight. No, we want our hostages back. If you wanted to stop bombing you need to go ahead and bring us those hostages. And Hamas hasn't done that. Hamas has not tried. They haven't. They have not tried to engage in any ceasefire. They broke the last ceasefire talks, like by 2 days before. They must have got restless and thought, hey, we need to go ahead and start back fighting maybe. With that being said, I said, look, they need to finish the job. Well, this came from the Daily Wire. Israel targets leader of Hezbollah in strike on terrorist group's headquarters. Woke up again to this news. I'm like, oh, Israel went ahead. Israel military says, this is according to Fox News, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah killed in Beirut strike. Fox News again. This came the day after. IDF, or Israel Defense Forces, announced death of another senior Hezbollah official following Nasrallah's death. Oh, I don't know if I said his name right. He's a butcher, so it don't matter anyway. Israel needs to finish the job. This is significant. Now, we got word that Iran has assembled nations up there to go ahead and try to see how they can retaliate against Israel. But this is what Israel needs to do. Now, America, of course, is flustered. Oh, they didn't let us know. Why would Israel let America know? America, for the last 4 years, has been leaking their plans out to everybody. Israel needs to finish the job. Israel don't want war. They want peace. Now, we know through Bible prophecy that they will not get peace until the Antichrist comes on the scene. At that time, I believe, you can believe differently, it's up to you. But I believe the church is going to be gone at that time. Now, we can pray for Israel. Bible says pray for the peace of Israel. We need to pray for Israel. But this is the time of the birthing pains. The end is coming soon. The Lord is coming back soon. And these are birthing pains. These are birthing pains that show that it is time to get right with God. All right, moving on. We've had a lot of political scandals in the last week. This started from the week prior, and not last Thursday, but the Thursday before. There's political scandals on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat. And both these stories broke. There was another story. I haven't done my research on it with one of the senatorial candidates of Maryland. There's a political scandal going on. But there's two political scandals I want to talk about. And again, political scandals on both sides of the aisle. And it's sad. It's sad that our politicians are not respectful men and women. Most of them. Now, look, I know some politicians, real kind-hearted people. They want to do right, but a lot of politicians have their issues, and a lot of them are corrupt. Now, the first story is not about really corruption. It's talking about a man that when I seen him and talk, I was just, wow, this is a man of God. This is a man, and I'm not going to doubt his salvation. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, but it just I was kind of hoping this story wasn't true, and there's a lot of legal stuff going on with it. But North Carolina Mark Robinson vows to stay in governor's race after CNN drops scandalous report. What we're talking about here? Well, Mark Robinson was the hot topic of not last Thursday of this recording, but the Thursday before. CNN got a hold of some papers by Mark Robinson's opponent, Mr. Stein. I think he's the Attorney General of North Carolina. He's running as the Democrat nominee for governor of that state. He released, he leaked out, he released some documents showing that Mark Robinson was part of a. I'm gonna say it like this because I know I got probably some young people listening. An adult website. And Mark Robinson made some comments about watching inappropriate acts with transgender people. He called himself a black Nazi. That this is what CNN reported, and it was all kind of stuff. Mark Robinson, after this report was released, his staff, half of his staff quit. He canceled an appearance with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is trying to put his distance. Trump has not pulled his endorsement, but it's not looking good in the governor's race in North Carolina now because of this report. And Mark Robinson has come out and said, look, these are lies. I've heard he got a lawyer, one of Trump's former lawyers, or they're trying to figure out. CNN has said they sent all the proof to him when they release out. Now, this is the whole thing. CNN, if a Democrat calls CNN and says, hey, Mark Robinson got a birthmark somewhere and it hasn't been confirmed, that's what I say. This is CNN. Okay, they will print something up. Now, hope CNN did their due diligence. I hope they looked at this, but according to CNN, they have the reports and they have all the proof. Again, this was also leaked out to a news host, a local news station in the area of North Carolina, and all this stuff. There's a lot of things I'm scratching my head around. And going back, again, my first point was, hey, reading this and thinking about this. This was done by the Attorney General, first off, of the state of North Carolina that's running for governor. The Attorney General has a lot of power, a lot of subpoena power, too. They can hold an investigation and they can look into all this stuff. And the Attorney General, instead of doing a proper investigation of Mark Robinson, who is the lieutenant governor, by the way, just went ahead and released this to CNN. So the question is even up there, did he even write this stuff? And again, CNN has said, hey, we have the proof. We're sending it to Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson's lawyer is going to look at it. This is going to be in legal court for I don't know how long. But this, again, you have to keep this in the back of your head. This was leaked by his opponent. And his opponent might be saying, well, everybody got to know what Mark Robinson. No, this is this is an October surprise before October. And this is hurting Mark Robinson in the polls. This is hurting Mark Robinson, and Mark Robinson, he needs to deal with this. Now, he's trying. Now, he has vowed to stay in the race. Again, I just mentioned that there's several Republicans that are trying to separate themselves from Robinson, and some are even calling him to drop out of the race before all the proof is coming. Look, this is why I hindered on this story, too, because I wanted to go ahead and make sure that what I was reading is factual, okay? I do the work. Now, but this raises a question, though. All these Republicans that are separating themselves, the primary process is done. He won enough votes to be the candidate for the Republican Party. So who are you going to vote for? The Democrat? You're not going to vote at all? Now, look, I'm not going to justify if this stuff is true by Mark Robinson. If Mark Robinson made them comments, it probably would have benefited him better if he would have came out and said, look, I did this and I done that. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I did wrong. I'm asking you, the North Carolina citizens, to forgive me of my wrongdoing over a decade ago. Okay, now Mark Robinson, look, I've heard Mark Robinson preach. I say preach because every time he does a political speech, it sounds like he's preaching. And if he said these things, he needs to admit it, but if he didn't, hey, stand firm your ground. But for all these Republicans, oh, he got to step out of the race. This is going to hurt Donald Trump. But what about North Carolina? What about North Carolina and their political future? Because look, we saw it in Louisiana. We had Donald Trump for 4 years, but we also had John Bel Edwards, and John Bel Edwards made hell for us here in Louisiana. Who are you going to vote for? The votes have been cast. And we just let the Democrat win. Oh, we need to figure out something. No, it's too late. I don't know if North Carolina does mail-in ballots or early voting or whatnot, but they probably do. It's too late. So what you going to do, Republicans of North Carolina? We can't vote for him because he did this, he did that. All right, we'll let the Democrat win. Oh, we can't do that either. So now you have a choice. Again, like I said, I don't know, but it made the news. This is a political scandal now. I say a political scandal. He put something on a website. Now, going to the last question, I'm going to talk about the Democrat the same way too. Will this hurt his political reputation? Probably will. And this is why, there was a governor here, Edwin Edwards, was a snake in the grass. Edwin Edwards is no longer with us, so I think he died. I think I saw that a while back. But Edwin Edwards, he went ahead and he was a womanizer. He did all this stuff, and he admitted it. Hey, and guess what? People today, Edwin Edwards was the best governor ever in Louisiana. Was a Democrat. And look, you got to go back to history. Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky and all that, won a second term, faced impeachment for it. Didn't get impeached. He got impeached, but he wasn't convicted. Will this ruin political? Well, yes and no. On the Republican side, it will, because a lot more Republicans are moral and they have upstanding. This is why Democrats put out stories like this too, because they can't beat most Republicans on policy. So hey, let's find a scandal in their closet. And history is going to tell us. I don't think it's not going to fare well for him in the Republican Party. I tell you that. Now let's go on to the next scandal. It's on the Democrat side. This happened later on in the week. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, the mayor that's, we're going to be tough on crime. We're going to be this. We're going to be that. And he hasn't been none of it. He's a typical Democrat that has been doing the same thing in New York for the last several years. Rudy Giuliani was the only one that did what he was talking about. People love Rudy Giuliani. He won 2 terms, got out of that. The Democrats took over again, and everything Rudy Giuliani did to better New York City, guess what? The Democrats have ruined, and they're continuing to ruin. But Eric Adams, I don't know what I'm saying, Mark Robinson, but Eric Adams has been indicted and is facing charges of a federal corruption. According to Fox News, he took bribes and he's done other stuff while the mayor of New York City. And this is really a problem. Now, some people are saying that this is political persecution because, yes, Eric Adams is a Democrat, but there's some things he does not believe as a Democrat and all this stuff. So they believe this is a political hit job on him. Funny, if this is true, if this is a political hit job that they're talking about, it just shows you, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican, if the left don't like you, they're going to go after you to remove you from office. We hear this from Donald Trump all the time. Well, they're trying to take me out with political trials and political rhetoric and all this stuff. Again, if this is true, the left don't like Roberts because he's not fully on their side. They're going to try to pull him out. And if they're doing it by federal charges, again, this is the Department of Justice and all this stuff. Are they being used for political purposes in the Biden administration? This raises a lot of questions. Now, I'm not saying that is true. I'm just telling you that this is what the Adams campaign is saying. Again, he is not I just made that point. He's not the greatest mayor in New York history. A lot of people thought he would do great. We mentioned that he was supposed to do great things. I would like to know he's taking bribes through. And again, just like Mark Robinson, he is innocent until proven guilty. So we need to hold that. Remember, we are a country. You're innocent until proven guilty. Um, and look, this goes into, like I said, a lot of bribes and a lot of stuff. The Adams campaign said, look, this is all political and all that. We don't know. It's funny how Democrats are trying to use Donald Trump's talking points. Harris has done this most of the time too. Okay, again, the last question. Again, what I talked about with Robinson, I'm gonna talk about with Adams. Will this hurt his reputation as a mayor of New York and as a politician? Possibly. It depends. But at the same time, he's innocent until proven guilty. And this is why we need to, and look, Democrat or Republican, we need to have this mindset, okay? We need to have this mindset that he's innocent until proven guilty. Now, a lot of people will say, well, hold on, Isaac, you saying that Donald Trump is not guilty. Well, they have not convicted Donald Trump yet either. Same thing with Hunter Biden. They've convicted him, but they haven't sentenced him yet. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, you're not labeled a felon until you're sentenced. Now, they have been tried and found guilty, but you also got to look at the areas they're in and all this stuff. Now, the whole case with New York City with Donald Trump, they had to change a lot of laws to get where Donald Trump's at. Just saying. But hopefully it's a fair trial, and hopefully that Mayor Adams can talk about himself and exonerate himself if he needs to be exonerated. If he is guilty, hey. Now, what does this show you though? Because I did write this down in my notes, and this is a good point. Politicians are human. Now, look, are they all honest, or are they all? You can always debate that, but politicians are human, and they will fail you. Especially if they have their own personal agenda. They will fail you. If they're on the left, they're the right, they're gonna fail you. It don't look, I'm a conservative. I'm a fiscal conservative. But I don't put my faith in Donald Trump. And if you're a Democrat that's a Christian, and I don't know how you can be a Christian and Democrat, but that's a touchy subject. Don't put your faith in Harris either. Harris, Trump, every politician out there, they're gonna fail you. They're human. But Jesus will never fail you. Jesus will never go ahead and leave you nor forsake you. Jesus will be there with you through the tough times and the bad times, and he's never going to fail you. Trials may come your way, and you might think you're walking through this life alone. But if you love Jesus Christ and you trust in Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, you're going to heaven. Guess what? You're trusting in the man with the hand. I always mess with that song. Put your faith in the hand that made the water, or something like that. I forgot the song's name. But yeah, that's what's going on here. That's what's going on. You don't trust, man, because Eric Adams and Mark Robinson, they're in the heat of political scandals right now. And this just shows you don't put your faith in the trust in a man. You put your faith and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. One more story. We wrap this up. Let you go on your work day. Thank you for listening to the show. As always, I love you guys. Thank you. One more story again. So this week, Vice President Kamala Harris made an announcement that on Friday she was going to visit the border. And the headline reads for Fox News: Harris heads to the southern border looking to flip script on immigration and criticisms. And she went there, and the Daily Wire did a piece on it as well. They said Kamala Harris plays border hawk in first border visits as Democratic nominee. So what's going on at the border? Well, Donald Trump has been criticizing her because she was the border czar. A lot of people that debate me on TikTok will tell me, Isaac, you're wrong. No. She did not. I even had someone tell me one time she has no power. She has no power as vice president of the United States. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why is she the vice president of the United States if they don't have no power? And then I start bringing out, well, she says she was the last one in the room when she talked to Biden. And Biden and her talk all the time about policy and stuff, and Biden gave her the power to do things at the border. She went there, I think, one time, if I'm not mistaken, out of her whole tender as I hope I'm saying that word right. You know who I'm talking about. If I'm as her whole time as vice president, she has only went to the border one time, once. And it wasn't even the bad part. I think it was El Paso. But she went to the border, and but again, Trump is making all these. Hey, she's the border czar. She had the right. Her administration, which Biden should do, not Biden, Trump should do. Trump should go ahead and say, look, this is the Biden-Harris administration. They made policies. They could have done this. Why she's doing this now? Well, she went to the border again, and she talked about her plans and what she's going to do. She talked about how she's going to be tough on crime. There's a good piece out there that it was written a couple of days ago by Fox News by Adam Shaw, and it says Harris visits critical border state as immigration record spikes sincerely a timeline. He goes in and breaks down timeline, and he makes some good points. Harris went there saying how she's a prosecutor. She took on criminal gangs, and that she's going to secure the border, and she's going to do all that. But Harris does have a lengthy history on immigration at the national level. It shows from 2018 to 2019, Harris, as a California senator, was on the far left of the Democrat Party on immigration, and in 2018, she pushed her colleagues in the Senate to reject a request by the Trump administration for more funding for immigration detaining beds and Border Patrol agents. She even wrote a letter to these senators on the Senate Appropriation Committee in 2018, talking about her concerns, how this wasn't going to work. 2019, as a presidential candidate, she went ahead and launched a bid. She was running for president. She said she would eliminate age requirements on applications and use parole authority to create a parole in place program to put these illegal immigrants on the path for citizenship. Now look, on this point, remember, she's been the vice president for 4 years. She says she's going to protect the border. She's going to make it tough. It needs to be fixed. I got some quotes from her from the Daily Wire. We're going to go ahead and probably read those in a little while. She was in 2021. She became the vice president. Border czar. Migrant numbers skyrocket. Biden told reporters in March that Harris would be put in charge of tackling the root causes. It was quickly led to Harris being she was talked about by the media and outlets as the border czar. Republicans. There's just a lot of stuff she has done. She also said in 2022 more time is needed for all this stuff. Just a lot that she said. Now, but going back to what we were saying I'm going to read you the Daily Wire's reporting on this when it pops up, if it pops up. Okay, let's see. Let me hit that button one more time. Let's see if it works. There we go. Beginning her Arizona speech, Harris presented herself as tough on immigration, saying the United States is a sovereign nation, and I believe we have the duty to set rules at our borders and enforce them. Now, I just gave you a timeline. She was the border czar starting in 2021. She had opportunities to do stuff at the border. She didn't. But her making this, like a lot of her speeches, she's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to push change. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and all this stuff. She has said she wants to do something that she had the power to do the last 3.5 years. She has been the vice president. She has been close to the president of the United States. Again, the argument I always bring up, well, she is the vice president. She can't make policy. Yeah, but when you have a president that says, I listen to her and I take her advice, means she's a close advisor and she's the last one in the room and all this stuff, you have to question that. She has influence on the president of the United States, and I take that responsibility very seriously. If she took it very seriously, she would have went ahead and done something the last 3.5 years. Harris continues saying that America is a nation of immigrants, which, when we first started, yes. And we still have immigrants coming in. I'm not against immigration. I'm against illegal immigration. Big difference there. Saying that the United States is a sovereign nation, I believe that we have the duty. Correction. Wrong line. And she said, and as such, pains must be taken to reform the immigration system so that it functions properly and makes our country stronger. Again, she had the policy. She had the time to do that. You know what they did when they first got in there? They removed all Trump's executive orders on the border that made that opened up our border and made immigration skyrocket to where we're over 10 million people that have come across the border. 10 million people have come across the border. Some states don't have a population of 10 million. Think about that point. So this is Daily Wire that said, despite her recent attempt to appear tough on immigration, Harris has presided over the unprecedented flood of illegal immigrations into the United States as vice president. As the Daily Wire reported, more than 10 million people have crossed over the border under the Biden administration. Estimated 1.7 legal immigrants gateway recorded since President Joe Biden was inaugurated in 2021. This is the contrast to the year 2018, 2019, 2020 during Trump's administration, which reported 415,000 reported getaways. 10 million people have crossed, and this is including 1.7 million immigrants. And she's going to the border right now. And this is, look, if I was Trump, I would hit home on this. The numbers came out from the federal government that says that 13,000 murders were caused by illegal immigrants, 11,000 SAs. These numbers that have been put out, Trump needs to hammer this home. And it goes to the point. Harris don't know what she's doing. She does not know what she is doing, ladies and gentlemen. She's ignorant on the facts. She's ignorant on the job. And the only reason she got there was because she was a DEI hire. And for her to go to the border on Friday of last week and say she is tough on immigration, she's going to change the law, she's going to look. They like to blame Donald Trump. They say Donald Trump killed that border bill. And look, you know, I listened to Kelby and Joe's show, and look, I know Kelby real well. I never met Joe, but you know, Kelby made that point. Well, Trump went ahead and killed the bill. The bill was bad. If Trump did call his friends and say, "Hey, let's stop this," I'm glad he did. People say, well, he did that for political stuff because he needs the border and he needs that to run for president of the United States. He can still run on it. But if this bill was bad, I'm glad he called people. I'm just going to be honest with you. And this was for political. But again, if Harris wanted to do this, they had the Senate and the House for 2 years, I believe. I may be wrong on that. I don't know. But they could have done something. They could have codified abortion like we talked about. See, they want abortion alive too because that's a political point. They don't care about the women that suffered. They just want a political talking point. They know there will be no codifying of Roe v. Wade, but they still use that issue. So there's an argument on that side. But Trump needs to push this. I know she's going to say, well, Trump, because she said it in the speech. Trump went ahead and killed this bill. This was a bipartisan bill. This was a good bill. No, it was not a good bill. But there's some people out there that are confused and they think it is. Now, again, I think it's hypocritical for her to go to the border now and try to say she is tough on border security with 10 million people crossing over and all these numbers showing of the crimes that are happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a critical time in America. This is a critical time in America. And we need prayer. I'm going to tell you this, and I've been praying this for a while. Lord, intervene in this election. We have a lot of stuff going on. I talked to my good friend from JSM today, and he told me, you know, a lot of things about Springfield. You know, a lot of Haitian immigrants are there. And they do have records of people missing animals. And if you look at it, October's coming soon, and Haitians believe in voodoo. Month of October is very high sacred to them. I'm thinking about doing a show with that. That was a good conversation. You know, and all this stuff. There's a lot going on in America. And we need a strong leader that's going to hold on to Judeo-Christian values. And I'm going to quote Donnie Swaggart on this because Donnie Swaggart had a good point last Sunday in the church service. He said this, look, we don't agree with everything with Donald Trump, but the platform aligns more. The Republican platform aligns more with Judeo-Christian values than the Republican Party. And I know some of you Christians, I can't stand Trump. I'm doing it. Hold your nose and push the button and press the and pull the lever. Look, I've told people, look, I'm for Trump. I like Trump right now in this election. I'm going to vote for Trump. The first time I was voting for Scott Walker than Ted Cruz. Then this time around, I wasn't supporting Donald Trump right away. I like Ron DeSantis. When Ron DeSantis dropped out, that's when I became a Trumpster again. I'm going to vote for Trump. And look, I don't like everything about Trump. But what's going on in this nation is not just political, it's spiritual. And Donald, look, I might talk, that's going to be a lot of my speech next week. And I might talk about this at the event. We're going to be live at the event, by the way, on the 5th. We'll be doing a live program from the MAGA Fest 24 Summit. We're gonna be live. I'm gonna try to get William to come on, and we're gonna talk a little bit. But yeah, we're this nation is, this result is because of spirituality, and we need God back in America. We need God back in America, ladies and gentlemen. And the only way we do that, first off, it's not by voting. We need to vote as Christians, but we need to pray and ask God to give us mercy. And then we need to vote the right way in this upcoming election. With that being said, that's going to wrap up the show. I want to thank you as always. Do want to prop up. They did not pay me to do this, but I want to prop up my good friends, Two Mics Live. Go check them out on Rumble Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Central, Pacific, not even Pacific. I'm messing it all up. 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's when I watch them, at 6 o'clock at night, when I can, if I'm not too busy recording or doing something else. Also, go check out my good friend Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show. Go check out Corporate Canteen Cup and all my friends that we promote here on the show. They don't pay me. If they did, I would make money, but I don't get paid to do it. But these are good conservative shows. Go check them out. God bless you. God keep you. May his face shine upon you. Pray for this nation. Pray for yours truly. And pray that the Lord comes back soon. So until next time, you be blessed. You be encouraged. We'll see you on the next show.